I think my spouse is cheating. What do I do? Hi, I'm Nick. I'm a Christian marriage coach. This is a question and a situation that I found on a group that I'm in on Facebook. So let me see if you've ever been in this situation. Have you ever been suspicious that your spouse was cheating on you? You find some suspicious activity. What do you do? All right, let me read a little bit of this post, and I want to try and be helpful to give my thoughts on what you can do if you're in this situation. So this post says, last month I was paying the phone bill and noticed my husband was making and receiving calls at all hours of the night. I asked him who he was talking to at 1 a.m. and he denies everything. I told him, fine, I'll call the number. And then he admits that it's a girl at work. He swears they are just friends. I told him it's inappropriate to be calling people at 1 a.m. He says, they're just friends. She hasn't seen any more phone calls since that conversation, but he has a work phone. So it goes on from there, but what a heartbreaking situation to be in. What do you do? So I have a few thoughts, and then after those couple thoughts, I want to talk about what is the gospel and how does it specifically help someone in this situation. So let's dig in. The first thought about this is, if you are suspicious about your spouse cheating on you, or they're doing some suspicious stuff, something just doesn't feel right, the chief thing that you're looking for is transparency. Be straight up about it. You don't want to go around snooping. Go to them, go to your spouse and ask for a level of transparency that will help you know whether or not they actually are doing something wrong. If they get defensive about it, then there's a problem, right? We don't know exactly what that problem is, but there's a problem. If you go to your spouse and respectfully and calmly and for the good of your marriage ask for complete transparency, and what do I mean by complete transparency? What I mean is, in this case, you have a work phone and you've been calling a coworker at weird hours of the night. This wife can go to her husband and say, I want complete access to your work phone. If there is some reason that that's like illegal or something, then the husband would need to get creative with how he could give transparency to his spouse, because that's ultimately what we're going for. Is the spouse needs to give that transparency. If there is something suspicious going on, as the husband in this scenario, your goal is to put your wife at ease, to make her feel safe, to help her know that you are choosing her continually. And so giving transparency is a good way to go about it and to be open like that. If transparency can't happen, then be creative with how you can give transparency to your spouse. If that doesn't go well, if the husband in this case gets all defensive and makes excuses and everything like that, that is a really good time to go talk, for the wife to go talk to the elders of her church authority, someone in leadership at your church, so that biblical confronting can happen, right? Someone with spiritual authority over this man's life needs to get involved, and the conversation needs to happen. There is something weird happening. And if that's all that it is, that there's something weird happening, it needs to be brought out into the light. Sin thrives in the darkness. Life is found in the light. So it needs to be brought into the light. The elders of a church can be really helpful in doing that. So those are my two thoughts. That's kind of the basics of what you're going for in that situation. Now, I want to talk about sort of how the gospel encourages and empowers someone in this situation. Before I do, I have a gift that I want to give you. It is a free marriage communication workshop called How to Stop Fighting with Your Spouse. Let's say you are suspicious that your spouse is cheating on you. Now, you can go to them with an incredible amount of accusation and basically create a really unsafe environment for them to be honest. And it will mean that they're more likely to lie, right? Part of what we're going to learn in this communication workshop is how do you build a safe environment for your spouse in communication. It is coming up on this Friday at 8 p.m. It is 8/26/2024 right now. This Friday at 8 p.m. we're going to have the marriage communication workshop where we will learn some of the most vital marriage communication tools that I've ever seen. So use the link somewhere on this video to sign up for that workshop so that if you're ever in this situation, then you will know how you can approach your spouse so that the best possible outcome can happen. Okay, let's think about the gospel in this situation. So this wife is deeply suspicious that her husband is cheating on her. Now, one thing that the spouse might be tempted toward is to get sneaky or get angry, right? Let's just think about this. Now, the gospel is that we were dead in our sin and God made us alive. And what that means for us is that we have already walked through death and have come out by the grace of God stronger on the other side. To apply that, what that means for this wife and maybe for you if you're in that kind of situation is that there is nothing that you might go through in the process of uncovering whatever is in front of you. There is nothing that you will go through that compares to going through death and coming out with abundant life on the other side of it. So you have every reason to be strong, be courageous, know how incredibly loved you are, and that can encourage you and empower you through standing up for your marriage and standing up for what is right and good and true. It might even empower you to stand up for forgiveness and grace if that's something that you need. That's how God has loved this wife. As how God has loved me and you, and that's how the gospel can encourage you in situations like this. I'm Nick, Christian marriage coach. Thanks for listening. If you have found this helpful, I think you will find my communication workshop, How to Stop Fighting with Your Spouse for Christian Couples, helpful. Use the link to sign up now, and we'll see you there.